Today I'm going to do a video that might be deeply, I don't want to say controversial, but I'm sure in certain circles it is. But this idea of the chakras and the energy points on the body, and there are a couple main objections to this idea. And the first one comes from this skepticism, like science kind of background, where you're like, energy points on the body, that's like metaphysics. It doesn't make any sense. Everything is physical, everything is matter. There's no spiritual, those types of ideas. So you have this very materialistic, atheistic kind of view, and that is one of the objections to things like chakras. The other one comes from a very fundamentalist, religious sort of perspective, which is this idea that anything that's outside of this particular religion is wrong. And you see this from the Abrahamic religions, some forms of Christianity, and some other forms of Abrahamic and possibly other religions come at it with like, if it's not in the Bible, then it's wrong. Well, actually, chakras are in the Bible, in the book of Revelations. It's pretty explicit that they do mention them. But, people who are in this very literalist mindset of what books are supposed to be in the Bible, and just I don't even care what they believe, but it's very fundamentalist, very much follow whoever came up with that very literal interpretation of everything, or they think it's literal. They're in one sense, these people who are in this fundamentalist, literalist mindset are very spiritual because they look at it as a way of cutting out everything that they feel is demonic or like wrong or bad or something, because they believe that if you just follow Jesus or whatever, and you get rid of all of these other ideas, that somehow you'll be able to escape the Illuminati, which are supposedly these very non-spiritual, fundamentalist, atheistic type of people who supposedly rule the world. So yeah, you've got two different groups kind of looking at the idea of chakras in a very negative light, but from two very different opposing perspectives on the thing. So even though they're opposites, they're also united on these ideas that are essentially very much against the idea of us all essentially being energy, or tying into that energetic idea of humans being spiritual beings. So on the one sense, you have the my way or the highway idea of like literalist spirituality, and on the other hand, you have a very scientific, matter-oriented, atheistic view of the universe. But what happens is, if you put these two things together in one body and in one human being, and you have this person who has like a very literalist, like atheistic interpretation of the world, but they believe kind of all these conspiracies about the Illuminati and the people in power, you kind of really get an abomination. And like when you have that person as kind of your opposite, and you're kind of like the other side of that. So like being in the vicinity of somebody like that can be very terrifying, and I honestly think most people would be scared out of their minds. Like, who is this person who holds so much negative energy and is walking around in a human form on this planet? And you know, there are people like that, like walking around believing these things, but they don't even realize how terrifying they are to everyone else. And I think, like, on a subconscious level, most people are just, you know, terrified of them. And if you want to be really, really brave, it's like walking up to a person like this with no fear, and like maybe it's because there's something maybe not human about you, but it's the not really seeing that, even though everyone around you can see that.